With RuneScape 3's Catalyst League coming out in just over 2 weeks, it seems wise to look back at the old school leagues, and what worked and what wouldn't work here. The first and most obvious topic is region locking. Whilst this worked great in old school due to the variety of content in each region, and not too many things blocking its implementation, in RuneScape 3 it's an entirely different story. Several major skills are completely unusable or untrainable outside of specific regions, meaning that either people would be forced to pick these regions or be locked out of skills forever, or the game would need large, sweeping changes to how these skills work at a fundamental level. Imagine dungeoneering, but without access to Daemonheim. Imagine invention, but you didn't pick Asgarnia, and thus can't enter the Invention Guild to start the skill. But it gets worse. Archaeology requires use of the Archaeology Guild for the first couple levels, and without the mysterious monolith, you'd have no access to relic powers. And worst of all, the whole combat style of necromancy is fundamentally entwined with the city of and the ritual sites and all the items, NPCs and bosses that make it function as a skill. Region-locked leagues aren't impossible in RuneScape 3, but without overhauls of the game's base systems, they would feel awkward to say the least. The issue compounds with the fact that several regions in the game have little to no mid or end game content. Vorkath isn't in the Fremennik region, there are no bosses at all in Tyrannon, and Zuck isn't in Karamja in RuneScape 3, he's in Sentistan underneath Misthalin. The regions aren't anywhere near as equal in content diversity as they are in old school, making the choice of where you'd unlock a lot less difficult or meaningful. Thinking about what we could implement, for the upcoming league I'd love to see some sort of relic or passive that speeds up all time-gated content in the game. Weekly and monthly D&Ds, such as the Giant Oyster and the Circus, would only be doable once or twice, if not sped up in some manner. And player upkeep areas such as Anachronia Base Camp, player-owned farms, and player-owned ports would either never pay off fully or only show any value nearing the end of the league for most players. Some of the quality of life changes that the old school leagues implemented would also be fantastic if used here as well. Being able to buy quest completions with task points like in Shattered Relics, shop restocking being heavily sped up or shops being infinite, and increased minigame reward points would be great changes, and expanding them to speed up other slow long grinds such as gathering 30,000 souls for your Well of Souls, or making masterwork equipment would change leagues entirely for the better. In the end, this is the first league RuneScape 3 is getting, and I'm not expecting massive changes to the game, as it is likely an experiment for Jagex as much as it is a fun game mode for the players. That being said, with region locks being a difficult undertaking and having already been done several times in old school, I'd prefer if they chose a different theme or gimmick for RuneScape 3 leagues in the future. You could, for example, use the Shattered Relics League mechanic and unlock skills or bosses with currency awarded on task completion. Or revisit and rework RuneScape 3 specific ideas, such as the scrapped Dimension of the Damned, with cities as safe zones and hordes of zombies wandering the lands, but reimagined for leagues with stronger and stronger enemies, and even some bosses the further you go from the starting city, adding shattered relics and powerful items to their drop tables, and if you really wanted to go wild, having them raid a random city each day for players to group up and defend. If that's too out of left field and too much engine work, and it likely is, take an existing mechanic such as the Enrage system several bosses have, and apply it to all bosses, enemy health and damage scaling with Enrage, but also increasing common loot and higher unique drop chance. And if you really wanted to spice things up, look at the Echoed bosses in old school. Add corrupted versions of that boss's unique drops, such as subjugation robes from Krill that are 10 tiers higher, a Dragon Rider lance that doubles the duration of Berserk, or a Bow of the Last Guardian that fires 2 arrows at once. The thing that draws me to leagues is the separation from the main game, and the temporary nature, making balance and design no longer limited by what already exists, but allowing for truly anything to be added to the game. Here's to hoping the Catalyst League is a massive success, and we can expand on the content further in our own unique ways in RuneScape 3.